I'm really on one today. I'm a little out of it too. Couple sandwiches short of a picnic basket. Maybe I got the COVID or something. I got that brain fog. Been feeling like I'm hungover. Haven't had a drink in 8 years. Feel a little out of it. But to be fair, it's the general neural circuitry that most Americans are working with on a day-to-day basis anyway. No offense to anybody out there. All right, judge not, lest ye be judged. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Crime Pays but Botany Doesn't. Today we're here on Spring Lake on a beautiful San Marcos River in beautiful San Marcos, Texas. And I got my little shorts on. I got some sunscreen and what the shit on my face. And we're going to go out and be introduced to the aquatic lifestyle. Now, being introduced to the aquatic lifestyle is like being there when Ozzy was introduced to his mind. You know, like in that song Sweet Leaf he's talking about, you know, he's talking about something completely unrelated, but it's a similar thing. The aquatic lifestyle is new to me. There's a lot of traits and evolutionary features we're going to see in some of these plants that you wouldn't see in terrestrial plants. Okay, so with me right now we got Casey Williams, aquatic botanist, and what I was saying before is that the plants that we're going to encounter in the aquatic habitat have to deal with a paucity of carbon dioxide. They've got an abundance of water, but they've got a relative low amount of carbon dioxide, all right? At least most aquatic plants do, but not here, because we're on the Edwards Aquifer and the base substrate here is limestone. So not only is it an aquifer which traps water and prevents the degassing of dissolved CO2, which would otherwise go back into the atmosphere. It's in the water, dissolved in the water, but it would go back into the atmosphere if there wasn't a lid on it. That aquifer, that limestone aquifer acts like a lid, preventing the CO2 from degassing. But also, remember, limestone is calcium carbonate. So you've got carbon dioxide actually dissolving off of that limestone as it reacts with acidic rainwater. Is that pretty? That's pretty what's going on. So anyway, with terrestrial plants, they got to deal with the paucity of water, not so with aquatic plants. Aquatic plants have to deal with the paucity of CO2. So anyway, Casey Williams, we're going to go check out some of these aquatic plants. Do you want to talk about what's going on here with many of the plants that you study?
Spring Lake, so this is the headwaters of San Marcos River. The lake is actually not native. It was built probably about 1850. So that flooded a lot of the original spring habitat. But the aquatic plants here have actually adapted to the lake condition. We still have wild rice. We still have some of the other native plants that you would have found here originally. We've measured CO2 coming out of the aquifer about 30 to 35. Normally in inland freshwater it would be about 5 to 10.
There's an abundance of CO2,
yeah, basically,
dissolved CO2.
Basically unlimited. So this is where we call this the place that a lot of aquatic plants dream to live. It's like absolutely perfect.
So this is kind of the perfect place to do a video on aquatic plants.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's a good place for an aquatic botanist.
Absolutely. So
there we go. Let's go see what we got going on down here.
Where I learned.
Okay, so Casey Williams, tell me what this is. What's this stuff? What's the straps? The letter straps in a ground right there.
So the strappy leaf one is Sagittaria platyphylla in its submerged form. So it's what we call amphibious. It can have a submerged form that asexually reproduces, and it also has an emergent form.
Amphibious, like the Wisconsin ducks, like those.
Right.
Yeah,
Except these don't sink. They either stay in the water or they emerge.
Okay, so they can be. So this can dry out and they can still hang in there as long as the soil's wet, but they can also be submerged.
Right. So they can live indefinitely in a submerged state and just asexually reproduce, or they can emerge if the water level gets too low, and they'll flower at that point.
Sagittaria, is that a Lismataceae?
Yes.
And that's a beautiful fucking Taxodium mucranatum we're looking at over there, huh?
Lions.
Montezuma cypress, look at that, no knees. The roots form almost like a reinforcement of that riverbank, like a rebar, and much smaller cones. But because, you know, it's been so often just lumped in with disticum, there's actually Taxodium disticum planted here too. So what are these little fish we're seeing? Is that Gambusia?
A lot of these are Gambusia, our common mosquito fish, Gambusia affinis. So they're actually introduced, and we think that they probably hybridized and outcompeted with the endemic Gambusia that was here.
So we had our native Gambusia, but these are from South America.
South America, somewhere.
What is with
Mexico.
that beautiful color on that fucking river? Why is it so lovely? Why is it that aquamarine color in the river over there?
All the bicarbonate. And
really?
The sunlight,
the bicarbonate causes that.
Sunlight will hit the bicarbonate, and it makes it kind of a bluish.
So tell us about the bicarbonate. What is going on with that? Is it like baking soda? What is it?
Well, I mean, it's just it's a dissolved mineral that comes from limestone.
From the dissolution of the limestone.
Right.
But aquatic plants can actually use it.
it.
Some of them can. And that's kind of a novel adaptation of aquatic plants.
Yep.
Is that they can use bicarbonate. But you're not going to get bicarbonate in like a volcanic landscape, would you?
No. So
this is strictly limestone.
Right.
So once again, we see how geology influences plant life.
So if you go into West Texas, you know, you won't see in the Davis Mountains where it's metamorphic type rock.
Metamorphic and volcanic and stuff, right?
Those plants probably won't be able to use bicarbonate. It's all CO2.
Okay.
And those plants rely mostly on rainwater.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. So this is in the Edwards Aquifer is just limestone, Cretaceous limestone, roughly 100 million years old. Yep. It's been uplifted, part of the Balcones escarpment. Yep. Everyone's got to learn geology. They really do. It's, you know, everybody should know what the land beneath their feet is, how it's formed and what it's made out of. Okay, let's go get in the river and check it out, huh? Now, I like that beautiful Taxodium mucronatum, which you can't see because of the high contrast of the direct sunlight I'm filming in. Like that Taxodium mucronatum, Malvaviscus arboreus right here, which is one of the coolest living hummingbird feeders, ranges all the way down into Mexico. I've seen it in Oaxaca, like very robust populations of this in Oaxaca. Hummingbird adaptation, it's got that exerted androphore, it's all those stamens with, you know, surrounding that hollow column, and then through that hollow column emerges this style and stigma, which is the female part of the flower, the gynoecium. So anyway, but hummingbirds love this. I mean, you want to get hummingbirds in your yard, plant this. And not only that, but if you put it on like drip irrigation, 10 minutes drip irrigation every night, they'll get 8 feet tall. I got one in my yard, it's 8 feet tall, living hummingbird feeder. All right, hummingbird feeder would be like feeding them McDonald's. This is like feeding them that good overpriced Whole Foods shit, you know? Okay, Casey, this is a really important plant right here. These almost psychedelic green ropes in the water. Tell me about that.
So this is our native endemic Zizia texana, aquatic grass.
It's a wild rice.
Wild rice.
It's a literal rice species.
Right, Zizania.
So the seeds are edible?
They could be, but they're really small. They're a lot smaller.
So they would need to be they'd need to be through a few thousand years of human selection for sure. Which is what we did with most wild plants, turn them into covers. Anyway, okay, keep going, sorry.
So anyway, so it's only found, I mean, its global population is about the 2 miles of this river. Found nowhere else in the world. Spring Lake was the kind of the heart of its distribution, and then it's kind of been dwindling last 20 or so years, but this patch actually was about 1/3 the size. Last couple of years, it's actually expanded quite a bit.
And so why was the population so reduced? Because this went through almost a bottleneck in the 80s.
Oh yeah, it almost went extinct.
It was in danger.
Yeah.
So what happened?
It was one of the first plants on the original endangered species list. Just pollution. The San Marcos River was getting a lot of sewage dumped into it in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. And then the university and the city started kind of dredging. The irrigation company that owned the water rights was dredging the river to try to get rid of the Zizania for several decades. And so obviously that wrapped it out.
Yeah. Trying to get rid of it.
They were trying to get rid of it, yeah.
That fucking attitude, that mentality, man.
That really restricted it to just a few areas where they couldn't dredge, which are the deeper spots of the river. And it got down to a couple hundred plants, probably. In the 60s, endangered species list comes along in the 70s. It becomes protected. Parks and Wildlife starts monitoring it in the 80s.
And is this amphibious? No.
It can be. It has an emergent culm that can flower. The leaves can turn to an emergent form. It will grow emergent in water, shallow water, but it must have water at all.
Ah, fuck! I just stepped in a poison ivy. Sorry. All right, there we go. I got prednisone that I bought at a Mexican pharmacy, so I'm fine. So this, and when it fruits, when it sends up an inflorescence, that is actually emergent. It doesn't flower underwater.
No. And if we get a flood or a lot of recreation, that will actually damage the inflorescences and keep them from actually producing.
What are these guys down here? What fish is that?
Those are water striders.
Are they native?
The surface. Yes.
No, the fish down there.
The fish? I don't see. Probably tetras.
What are the fishies?
Yeah. So those are Mexican tetras.
So they're native.
Yes, to this drainage, yes.
Fucking aquatic lifestyle's blowing my mind. All right, I gotta go. Let's get in the river because I gotta wash this shit off my feet. Don't judge me for wearing Crocs.
Actually, they're not native. native. They're native to the Rio Grande.
Oh, they're not. They're native to the Rio Grande River. That's
yeah.
close enough. We could bring them up here. What's this fluffy shit right here? Is that
So
Ludwigia?
all of the red one is the Ludwigia repens.
And then what's the stuff growing in between it?
Just filamentous algae. Probably Cladophora.
So photosynthetic cyanobacteria?
Filamentous, so it'd be a green algae.
So an actual algae.
Actually algae.
Precursor to plants. Evolutionary precursor to the plants.
And it'll grow epiphytically on the plant.
Okay, let's go get in. No, it's Nandina domestica, horticultural atrocity, straight out the fucking Home Despot Big Box Center. I want to shit my pants and cry at the same time. If you see this in your landscaping, cut it down, unless you're where it's native over in Asia. There we go. Look at that. You got a bubbler. Casey, what's going on here? Why is it bubbling?
So this is one of the outlets for what we call the San Marcos Spring system. I'm not sure if that's a spring.
What do you think? It might be a blown sewer pipe or something. Might be shit water.
Might be a water pipe.
Patrick said we were here a couple weeks ago. He said it could just be a spring. Let's just say it's a spring anyway. It looks close enough. We could use that opportunity to educate. But you do get this phenomenon going on out in the lake, which is basically a hole in a karstic rock where the water's coming up due to pressure, or what?
There's a spring up here. Yeah. So it's what we call Artesian pressure. So where the spring is lower in elevation than the actual aquifer.
But this might be, but again, disclaimer, this might be shit water.
Maybe. Okay. I've never seen this spring opening before.
Now, if you look over to the left of the shit water, you got a species of palm that's probably Sabo mexicana. You get Sabo mexicana and Sabo minor here, but again, the first hints that we're getting into the much lower latitudes than, say, you know, Oklahoma or whatever. You don't get Sabo mexicana up there in Oklahoma. You get plenty of nice stuff, but you don't. You know, so as you start going lower, you see more palm diversity. You see certain families and floristic affinities that you see in the lower latitudes. And of course, yeah, we got Sabo mexicana down where I live in a RGV, which can form a very beautiful large tree. Lots of habitat for owls and bats and cool birds and shit, because they're just so big and they're so wide and they get a beautiful skirt of leaves. Look at those beautiful mucronatums. How dare anybody try to say these are just disticum, Taxodium disticum. Look at the form on that. You see the same thing all the way down into Oaxaca. Okay, we're gonna jaywalk right now, see if we can catch a personal injury case. You know, sometimes you get lucky, you hit a fucking gold mine, you know, just end up with a broken ankle. Next thing you know, you got a $500,000 settlement. Here we go. Oh, no knees, no knees. God, I love these fucking trees. Ah, shit, these Crocs don't have any grip. Look at that. That's, oh, this whole river. One of the most gorgeous rivers and appreciated by many in all of Texas. But there, to be fair, there's many gorgeous rivers and this beautiful limestone substrate. Fucking Texas rivers, seriously, nothing can mess with them. You might think California's got nice rivers. They don't got rivers like this. You find a salamander. He just seen a coral snake. He just found out there's a coral snake living beneath his porch. You're gonna let that coral snake live, right? You're gonna just let it chill? Yeah, we don't got. He's fine. God, I'll never make fun of Crocs again. All right, so this is all the wild rice. What's with all these floaty balls and what's going on here? Is it trying to keep us out?
Yeah, protected area.
Oh, this is they don't want you to come in here.
Correct. Yeah, keep recreation.
They don't want some slob going in there, you know, throwing ball for his dog or something like that.
Well,
nice.
I mean, one of the main threats for wild rice is the amount of recreation that happens.
Just destruction. Yeah.
I mean, you can see all this. Earlier this year, this was all rice.
So there was wild rice here.
And the roots are still here. They'll come back in the wintertime. They'll fill in and then they'll get ripped back out again.
Oh, that's nice over there. Look at it. Look at that. God damn. Oh, that's so nice. Okay, so let's go take a look at this plant. You know, I just can't get over these trees. They're such beautiful trees. They're covered in poison ivy, which I'd like to set fire to, you know, in the dormant season. But I'm just kidding. Don't do that, because then you'll be inhaling all the urushiol. But regardless, those are such beautiful trees. Taxodium mucronatum, northern extent of a mostly Mexican species. Okay, so Casey, this genus Zizia, the wild rice, there's only like, 3 or 4 species? One in Asia, one that's in Florida, and one that goes all the way up to Minnesota, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So Latifolia is the Asian one, Aquatic is Florida, Palustris is Minnesota, and then Zizania, texana is...
Okay, so tell me what we're looking at with this inflorescence here. Our plants, they're monoecious, right?
Correct. So staminate flowers on the bottom, pistillate flowers on the top, so the seed will form up here.
Oh, that's kind of the reverse how like some euphorbias do it, where they got pistillate, the female on the bottom, male up top.
And that always confuses me too, because normally you think of the staminate being on the top and pistillate on the bottom, but it's wind pollinated, so it doesn't really matter. One plant's probably not going to pollinate itself; it's going to pollinate its neighbor, more than likely. So.
Okay, so let's talk about you got dimorphic leaves here, right? You got leaves that are meant to be above the surface of the water and leaves that are meant to be right at the surface or below, right?
Correct. So the submerged leaves are usually translucent, or always translucent. Don't have a cuticle, uptake nutrients pretty
And tell everybody
quickly.
what the cuticle is. It's the waxy protective surface that terrestrial plants have to have. I mean, when plants evolved, you know, out of algae, out of green algae, they had to figure out a way to deal with one of the stresses, which is the water paucity and the much more arid environment they're growing in. So that's what the cuticle is, the waxy layer. And in plants like Areocarpus, the living rock cactus, they can be super thick, and in aquatic plants, they can be non-existent.
Right, so translucent means it doesn't have a cuticle, probably doesn't have stomata, it's probably doesn't use stomata, or the stomata are permanently closed.
So if it doesn't have stomata, how's it taking in the CO2?
It's just doing it through the cell wall.
No shit. Okay, so aquatic plants can diffuse it directly into the cell wall because they don't have that cuticle. That cuticle prevents drying out, but it also prevents CO2 being able to diffuse directly into the cells.
If the water level lowers here, then it will start producing more of the emergent leaves,
which you can see are turgid and able to hold up on their own versus these.
And more clones.
Okay, so let's look at how these things, because they can spread rhizomatously too, right?
Right.
They can spread clonally.
So we call it a tiller when it comes off of the culm, which is the stem in the grass. And this is a tiller. And these will break off and then float downstream and get buried and start a new colony.
And so did this make restoration easier?
Absolutely. Yeah, so when they started restoring it, 2013, the tillers were what they planted. It took too long really to grow plants from seed.
Was there a genetic bottleneck since the population got reduced to such a small amount?
They don't think so. It's all one population anyway.
But it's hard. This is hard to grow. You can't grow this in standing water. It needs flowing river water.
Generally, it needs high CO2 flowing water, yes. They have been successful in growing it in some stations, some research stations in the past, not using Edwards aquifer water, but it was short-lived populations.
So this is basically this species speciated in direct relation to the geology and this place, this specific river.
Are these types of systems?
These types of rivers in central Texas, because there's a number of rivers like this one that generally flow from the northwest to the southeast into the Gulf.
And that's one of the theories, is that the species evolved and speciated in these types of systems, but over the millennia, those systems have gone dry, and this is really the only system that has not gone dry.
So the point is, we got a context there to appreciate. There's a very certain context in which every plant evolves. That's why no species is an island. It's related to ecology, to region, to geology, to other species that it grows sympatric with, etc. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, that's such a beautiful grass. Such a beautiful grass. Oh my God, those little spikelets, dangling anthers. Ooh. Oh yeah, and there's the female flowers. Yeah, look at all those little white things are the stigma. That's meant to catch the wind-borne pollen grains. And it does look like, it looks like a wild rice. It does. It looks like, that long grain wild rice. Yeah, look at those, the little plumose white stigma. Okay, here we go. Okay, so what's this? Who's this guy?
So this is American or Illinois pondweed, Pondweed illinoisensis. It's all growing submerged right now.
Is he going to mind if we take a little bit of?
No. Again, the translucent leaves, no cuticle, probably no stomata.
Hymenophyllum, aka the filmy ferns, also have very thin, translucent leaves, and probably no cuticle because they grow in very wet rainforests and temperate rainforests. Okay, so what's the deal here? What's going on? Does it spread rhizomatously or what?
It does. So in flowing water, it will look just like this. In the San Marcos, it looks like this. But if you see it in a pond or a slower flowing river, it'll actually get big floating leaves, and it'll produce a flower spike.
Fucking amazing.
But you won't see that form really on the San Marcos.
And what do the flowers look like?
They're just kind of like a spadix type flower.
Oh yeah, okay. So it is okay. So silver dollar weed or whatever the shit. This is a hydrocotyle, which is Arrowhead, the English ivy family, the Panax family, etc. Order of carrots. And there's terrestrial versions of this species too, right?
Well, this one will grow terrestrially.
No shit.
With everything, like I said, this is the place where plants dream of going to grow.
Oh, so very distinct leaf shape there. Those peltate leaves. Yeah, I've seen it on dunes in Florida.
Yep.
But that wasn't this species, probably.
This is verticillata, so probably not. It's mostly hill country, southern U.S.
And what's the flower look like? Kind of like an umbel thing? Yeah, like typical Arrowhead. I ask him if you get cottonmouths in here. He says, no, not really. So you do, but they're just not. Okay, whatever. I'll trust it, whatever. I'll take one for the team. Let's go check out this Canna. All right, here we go. So let's check out this Canna, because Canna is a cool genus anyway. It's only got one stamen. Let's move this stick. Ah, fuck. Okay. Okay, so this is probably not native. Cannaceae is the family, Canna is the genus. It's pretty popular in horticulture, but notable about it is the flower morphology. These are the petals, and these that look like petals are just modified stamens. And how do we know that? Because this being a monocot should at least have three stamens. Three stamens, each with a filament and an anther, but this only has one. That right there is the stamen right there. You can see it's withered, it's post-mature, it's already released pollen, and that is the stigma. That big shit is the stigma, which connects to the fruit, which is right here, which has that very distinct shape to it, all right, little warty shape, and the seeds will mature in there. So, pretty interesting. You get that monocot venation. Yeah, so very common. You'll see this. A lot of Mexican grannies got this in their yard. Mexican and Italian grannies, you know, you see this in pots. It's used a lot in horticulture, and that's probably what this is an escapee from, because they were doing a lot of aquatic plant horticulture on this river back in the day, and that's how a lot of invasives got here. Regardless, really cool genus, and it's always good to know what evolutionary modifications have been made to various flowers of various plant families, because you always got to say, why is it doing that? Why did it evolve that? Etc. In the case of Canna, it probably turned those excess stamens into staminodes, fertile stamens, and used them as an attractant. Oh, you got a Zola in there too, which harbors nitrogen-fixing bacteria and was linked to a possible worldwide drop in CO2 levels during the Oligocene. How about that? But this is the Zizia. This is a liverwort, and it's just doing a whole aquatic thing, floating. And then how does it reproduce? Where does it produce the spores from? Because it doesn't produce seeds, since it's a liverwort, it's producing spores. Where does it put the spores out?
I've never seen a sporangium. No telling.
God, it just looks like a mat of green pubes, though. That's really cool. But does it have a dichotomous? Oh, it does. It's got a dichotomous branching structure.
Yeah, and if you see it growing epiphytically or on wet soil, it will look even a little bit more different.
So this can grow amphibiously. Wow, no shit.
It loves the CO2. That's why it's growing submersed and loose like this, because there's enough CO2 for it to grow in the water, which is unusual.
Do you ever wish you could go back to the Silurian to see what it looked like when plants first evolved, when they first learned to be terrestrial?
And they were all aquatic? Yes, I would have gone crazy with all the aquatics back then. I would like to see the system 500 years ago.
God, yeah, fucking tell me about it. It's like all in Texas. Jesus Christ.
Been crazy stuff going on.
Okay, so this, and you can see the wild rice. All this looked like that over there, but it's just.
And the roots live for a long time. They'll come back.
They're still there.
Once recreation subsides, they'll come back.
Red-eared sliders, they're not native, but they're just, they can hang out, they can lurk. Oh, who's that fish behind them? God damn it, what is that? There's some cool cichlids and tetras. You get the Texas cichlid in here?
Yes.
Okay, this is where my daughter took a dump last time we were here. She didn't mean to, so don't get mad at her, but you gotta keep it real. Where'd that slider go? Oh, you dipped out. Okay, he got the slider. Let's interview him. Sir, what do you think about the aquatic lifestyle? You happy with it? You feel pretty good? Look, he looks smug. These reptiles, he's like, put me the fuck back. What are you doing? These reptiles always look so smug. Listen, man, don't be mad at us. I think you're doing a good job. Okay. All right. I guess that's it. All right. Thank you. Thanks for letting us ask you some questions.
It does the same thing. The leaves don't get translucent.
So this is Heteranthera, and we're going to talk about that's in Comelinales, the order of Tridescantia. But what family is it in? Yeah, Pontoderiaceae is the family on it. Okay, but this is growing in like 4 feet of water, so this can both float and then also, does it grow downwards, or how does it get down there when the water levels drop, or what?
When the water level gets shallow, it grows on the surface like that.
Oh God, something's dead. I smell something dead. Okay, we'll ignore that for now. Anyway, I'm glad we're swimming in it. But how does it get down so deep right here? This is all Heteranthera right here,
Just
right?
a fragment. Fragments will sink and then...
Oh, fuck, that smell is really killing me. All right, we gotta move. Okay, but either way, so this is all, I mean, it can do this. It can basically grow down and then root itself into the ground. Is that what it's doing then?
Yeah.
So it'll float and then just send down roots.
Right.
Send down stem and roots.
Or a fragment will sink and get trapped.
Ah,
and get
okay.
buried.
Let's check out what the flowers look like.
Just see the little...
Okay, so let's talk about this. There's a Heteranthera dubia, right?
Dubia, yeah.
Yeah, and then you get Heteranthera mexicana as well. What color flowers does that mexicana have?
Blue, sky blue.
Oh my God! And is mexicana rare?
Very rare.
Wow, no shit. Okay, all right. But anyway, let's talk about this. So what's going on with this flower right here? Is that black thing is I guess that's the stigma, and then it's got 3 stamens. Why are the filaments inflated like that? That's weird. Six tepals. Ah, something's biting me. Fuck. Now, maybe it's just my imagination. Okay, but anyway, so again, we got 6 tepals. It's a monocot. We got inflated filaments, and then that little black stigma. Why are those filaments inflated? Do you know?
I have no clue. Probably pollinator.
Yeah, it's doing something to get the pollen. Okay, so we were just wondering why the name Heteranthera, because heter, that means different, anther, different anthers, but these are not, the anthers are all the same in this, but you were saying in what species they're different? They have different forms?
Mimosa and rotundifolia.
Rotundifolia. Okay, so the etymology of the name Heteranthera is not displayed here, but what is displayed here is something called enantiostyle, which is where the style, instead of being in the center of the flower, is off to the side. And what's the purpose of that? To ensure cross-pollination, to make sure that it can't bang itself and that you get better genetic mixing, because this is it's what's known as a mirror image flower. You see it in South African plants like Wachendorfia, another cool monocot. You see it in Solanum, I believe rostratum, which is another Texas native plant, where the style goes off to the side, so that in order for pollen to be deposited on that, the pollen's going to have to be on a certain part of the pollinator's body and be picked off by a flower that's got a different shape, where the style is on the other side and the anthers are on the other side. If that's not making sense to you, don't worry about it. You can look it up, read a paper about it if you actually give a shit. Just know it's meant to ensure cross-pollination, and that's a phenomenon called enantiostyle. Okay, moving right about, let's talk about Cabomba right here, because that's this little white shit blooming right here. What's going on here, Casey?
So Cabomba was in the Nymphaea family. Now it's in its own family. It does have 2 little floating leaves right underneath the flower. It flowers on the surface, but in the San Marcos River you see it blooming underwater.
Right, and style and ovary in the center, and then you got, how many, 6 stamens or what? So let's look at these leaves, because this looks like your typical, quote, aquarium plant. Like if someone was, in a factory in China, some underpaid 13-year-old who's enslaved in a factory in China was told to make an aquarium plant, this is what they would kind of make it look like, right? I mean, something along these lines.
Absolutely, it's super popular in the aquarium trade. And some species have been brought over and introduced in the U.S.
But you got opposite leaves, and they actually have a petiole there, which is important.
Which makes it look whorled, so you can easily get it confused with your whorled plants like Myriophyllum and Limnophila. So it's easy to get.
But again, shiny and translucent because there's no cuticle. What'd you say, floaters? That's an R&B band from the 70s. Oh yeah. Oh shit, I didn't even see these before. Oh yeah, there we go. Dimorphic leaves. Look at that. That's nice. So these are the floating leaves. Oh god, they got a weird shape to them. A little bullhorn shape. Almost like a Sagittaria. Oh yeah, they're notched at one end. How about that? So these are the floating leaves. You got dimorphic leaves, and what those little floating leaves? Do they have air in them? They got the.
Yes, they can.
And so that's what's holding the whole thing up.
Inflated petiole.
But this thing will also flower underwater too, Cabomba?
Yes, look over here. You can see it.
Oh yeah, there we go. That guy's just flowering underwater. So again, the water lily family, or it used to be in Nymphaceae, but it's in that order. It's in Nymphales. But it's, again, all you got to know from that, it is a, quote, basal angiosperm lineage. So this is one of the earlier branching lineages in the angiosperm family tree. What's going on there?
Producing bubbles. It's producing oxygen right there.
No shit.
And
So
that's what we call pearling.
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 So they're enriching all this area with dissolved
Correct.
oxygen,
Right.
which is, of course, I mean, we don't need to say how beneficial that is for all the other life forms.
It's noon right now, so photosynthesis is probably peaking, and so you're getting lots of oxygen production. There's some more right here.
Oh yeah, look at that. So that's all oxygen bubbles coming up. Just
Yeah,
little...
and I've only seen that in Cabomba. I've never seen that occurring in any of the other submerged plants. So when you're snorkeling in the river and you're at that peak photosynthesis and it's nothing but a big patch of Cabomba, there'll just be tons of bubbles.
And you said, I mean, all aquatic plants are putting oxygen into the water, but you're saying Cabomba is the only one where you've seen it that obvious.
Right, I've never seen pearling in any of the other, as obvious in any other aquatic plants in the San Marcos. I'm sure it happens.
Okay, so Alismataceae is the family, it's the family of a lot of aquatic plants. Okay, so this family right here, this is Alismataceae. This plant right here is Sagittaria platyphylla, right? And these are the flowers that we're looking at right here, which are, you know, it would make sense since they're in the Arrowhead order, because Arrowheads do the same thing. You got female flowers down below. These are post-mature, so it's protogynous. They're the female. The whole plant is female first. Protogynous and monoecious. Female first, these already went off. That's the ovary and the fruit maturing, so there's going to be seeds in there. And then now it's going into the male phase, as you can tell by all those bright yellow anthers releasing bright yellow pollen with the 3 white petals and what the shit. The petals on these already fell off. So what pollinates this? Do you know? Is it probably beetles or something, or
probably
what?
Beetles.
I'm
not sure.
But this is, I mean, this is a wonderful native plant here, right? I mean,
this is our most common Sagittaria in Texas.
And so what's it doing? It's holding, the roots are holding all the soil in there, preventing it from eroding, being washed away during inundation events.
It's great for stream bank stabilization, great for waterfowl.
And for those with an anthropocentric mindset, is it edible?
No.
No.
Well, the tubers are, which comes from the Delta duck potato common name.
Oh, so you can actually eat the tubers.
You can eat the tubers.
All right. Just like a lot of, what's the invasive Araceae member that's got the, what is it, taro?
Colocasia.
Yeah, that's invasive here, right? But
yes.
That was brought here for agriculture and horticulture,
right.
or what? Mm-hmm.
Well, we think probably a little bit of both. Ornamental and maybe the slaves brought in.
And that's Arrowhead family. This is Alismataceae family, but both families are in the Arrowhead order. So, so this is the same plant. You got the submerged form and the emergent form. This is the same plant we saw at the beginning of the video where you got the strap leaves.
Right.
Looks like strap leather.
Acaulescent strap rosette forming.
Like to get slapped around with that strap leather. Yeah, that Johnny cakes. Yeah, look at it. So, okay, so submergent and emergent leaves. How about that? Fucking cool. They can do it all. Aquatic plants can do it all. Look at the, is that ambrosia triffid over there? Oh, that is. Annual that can get 20 feet high in a single season. Asteraceae. But it's got that wind pollinated pollination syndrome, so it's going to be bad for your allergies. You know how many people don't know that only wind pollinated plants cause allergies? Insect pollinated plants are not dumping their pollen onto wind currents, so you're not going to come in contact with them unless you're going out there and huffing flowers, you know, like I do. Well, I didn't really huff them, I just kind of fondle them, but you know what I mean. I'm not a sniffer. Look, so this, and that are the same plant. Submerged and emergent leaf form. How about that? Ah! God, that's so cool. What a fucking nice, what a wonderful adaptation. Anything else we should go see over here, Casey?
I think we've covered everything on this side.
Okay, let's keep moving down. Okay, so we got a member of the Penstemon family, Plantagenaceae, down here. Let's talk about this. What's this guy, huh? What's going on here? Oh, look at it. Oh, look at that fucking dragonfly. Oh my God. Oh, you just look. Anyway, so this is Bacopa monieri, right?
Yes.
Yeah, was it named after an Italian? What's it named after?
I do not know.
It doesn't fucking matter. Okay, anyway, so we don't know the etymology, but either way, this is a really cool plant, and it can do the same thing. It can grow submerged and emergent, correct?
Yes, yes. Submerged form, again, it will never really flower. And it can grow in actually really fast flowing water.
Oh wow! So this thing can really anchor itself in.
Yes, yes.
Uh-huh.
It loves rivers. It's probably the only Bacopa you'll see growing in a river in Texas.
But unlike most members of the penstemon family, it seems to have radially symmetrical flowers. Oh no, maybe not. Maybe they are bilaterally symmetrical. Yeah, they're bilaterally symmetrical flowers, and they've got that green stigma. Oh yeah, look at that. That's cool. Oh yeah.
Amazing.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, it is bilaterally symmetrical. It's not radial. And you got, like again, like the penstemon family. Somebody's being a bad boy behind me, and it's not my dog. I'm proud to say. Yeah. Anyway, you got that green stigma, which is attached to that style, leading down to an ovary, and then you got. Oh hey buddy, how's it going? Okay. Anyway, all right, come on, guy. I love you, but you're photobombing right now. Anyway, and then we are, okay, I see how it is. I understand. Okay, hey man, I was gonna let you have a cameo, but you know, okay, whatever. Anyway, we'll let them work it out. Anyway, but we got those four stamens, again, like the penstemon family Plantagenaceae. 4 stamens and a unique anther shape, kind of curved, and then a green stigma and an ovary. But pretty broad distribution on this one, right? I mean, this goes down into Central America or what?
Coastal down to Mexico.
Damn, you got a Huisache growing in the fucking river, man. But they're also drought tolerant as all shit too. What a great plant. Oh, I love it. Smells wonderful when it blooms. Vichelia farnesiana. Okay, anyway, so let's talk about this Ludwigia. This is evening primrose family, right? As we can tell from the 4 petals and the 8 stamens, etc. Wait, what's going on with Ludwigia? It's basically an evening primrose that became aquatic, or maybe it didn't.
So Octovalvus isn't really that aquatic. It's more of a wetland.
Just likes to get its feet wet.
Right. It won't grow submerged.
But there are some Ludwigias that do grow submerged.
Ludwigia repens is the one we see in the river that will grow completely submerged.
That's what we just saw over there.
The
probably.
red one, yes.
How many Ludwigia species you got in Texas? You know?
8 or 9, I believe.
Okay, so they're kind of like Onothera, but not as species rich. I mean, because you got a shit ton of Onothera species in Texas.
Yes.
Which is mostly adapted to moth pollination at night. And this is the aquatic version of it. I shouldn't say it's basically an aquatic form of Onothera. Oh yeah, we got that same fruit structure where it just looks like the stem. It's an inferior ovary and it just looks like the stem. Oh yeah, oh honeybee, huh? Hope it dies. I'm just kidding. Well, only half kidding. But anyway, you got that inferior ovary, looks like a stem, and it's got just hundreds of seeds inside. What the hell? Look at this flower. That's nice. Okay, so what's that stigma? You got that bulbous stigma where the pollen gets deposited, then you got those 8 stamens on either side of it, kind of below it. But again, 4 petals, 4 sepals, etc. I'm telling you all this because those are the synapomorphies of many members of Onagraceae, the evening primrose family, which can be huge fucking trees in places like New Zealand or tiny little herbs, etc. Oh, does your river do this? I don't know where you are if you're watching this, but does your river do this? This is nice. I can't get over how clear the water looks here. This is fucking nuts. I was reading about a rock shelter that was discovered, a Kincaid rock shelter, I think on the Sabinal River. But same general thing going on, and there was, people had been hanging out there for like 10,000 years, if not longer, which, really, it makes sense. I mean, back in the day, this must have been 10 times more wonderful than it is now, and it's pretty wonderful as it is now.
Ceratopterus, the floating fern.
So, oh yeah, that'd be cool to see. We gotta get some, we'll see what else we can get here. I'm just enjoying this wonderful trek through a viaduct. This is lovely. Okay, now it gets a little deep. You could just float, float on. San Marcos isn't bad. Wonder what the cops are like. San Marcos cops pretty rough. You think so? Could you catch heat down here? Okay, see, all right, he's calling me back, right? What do we got? Oh, somebody lose a stogie? What is that? Oh no, it's it's the hot shit. What is it? It's that picante spice. Okay, so what's this? Ceratophyllum. Tell me about this.
So Ceratophyllum demersum.
And this is on its own branch of the angiosperm family tree of the flowering plant evolutionary tree. I mean, this is really, we're talking a weirdo here. Not long, lonely branch, not many relatives.
No roots.
And this is just a floater, and you can root. I mean, that'll just grow. You break a piece of that off, put it in an aquarium or something, that'll start growing.
This is the plant right here. Stems and leaves.
Right. Casey, I'm gonna pee in the water right now while
Okay,
we're filming
go for
this.
it.
All right, cool. All right, so keep telling me about this.
I'm upstream, so I don't care.
Right, yeah, there we are. So that's the only reason I'm doing it. If you were downstream, I would never in a million years. Oh, it's it's got like a bristle feel to it.
Yep.
This is not soft and gentle to the touch.
No, it incorporates calcium into the tissue.
Oh, so that's why it's kind of scabbard and hard.
Right, so a lot of aquatic plants will actually collapse their structure will collapse when you take them out of the water, but this one has calcium carbonate.
No shit. Oh my God. That's amazing. How many aquatic plants do that?
Not many.
Wow. So what else is special about Ceratophyllaceae?
I mean, I think just that its own thing. Now we're thinking that distant relative was the first flowering plant.
No shit.
Zizia, I think that's a
first angiosperm.
So this is an update to what I was Archefructus, because Archefructus used to be thought of as the first angiosperm. Now we're thinking it's a relative. It is
something that looks like this. Yeah.
Wow. But then what's going on with because the phylogeny? This doesn't come out near the base. That's weird. Ambarella's near the base.
I have no clue.
Tell me, okay, what is this? What's this? This grass.
So this is Lyrzia orazoides. It looks similar to the native to Texas wild rice, but it's a different genus.
But this is a native. It's a native.
It is native. It only grows emergent though. You won't really see it growing submersed.
Yeah, you're not going to see it under the.
And this is all invaded recently because the water's been so low.
Sediment.
It's created a sediment island. It's grown in on that.
Who's this red pigmented bastard over there?
That's Ludwigia repens.
Oh, that's Ludwigia repens again. No shit. But again, a yellow four-petaled flower when it blooms.
Very small flower. Let's see if it's flowering.
Okay, so we didn't find any flowers on that Ludwigia repens, but we found an old fruit, and you can see the sepals are still attached to it. So, again, inferior ovary sepals are up top, and
angular, square.
Yeah, little square, four-sided fruit right there. But it's got. I mean, when it does flower, it's just axillary, just right out the stems. Right, just right out, right above the petioles. And so, and what was this other plant? You said you found a milfoil here. Where'd it go?
Where'd it go? Well, here's another one. This is the Myriophyllum heterophyllum, two-leaved milfoil. So, one of our native milfoils, it will produce a flower spike, and the flower spike will actually have broad leaves instead of pinnate.
And what's the flowers look like?
They're just a spade with a couple of white florets.
And what family?
Halograceae.
Halograceae. And moving on here, we got a sedge, huh? We got Cyperaceae is the family here. What is this?
Plectus tabermontanii. Soft stem bulrush.
And there's those wind pollinated flowers. Now are those the stigmas poking out right there?
I believe so.
And it appears so. Oh yeah, the anthers are already done.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, look at those almost translucent white stigmas. Oh, there we go. Okay. Was this used for fiber at some point, do you know?
I don't know. It's really popular for that. It was really popular for thatched. So I guess fiber would make sense.
But hollow stems. Ooh, I just broke that one. Oh well. Sorry, guy. Hang in there. Yeah, this is a nice tubing spot. So normally the river is a little higher, huh?
Normally the river, all of this would be underwater.
Wow.
This was all wild rice, all the way over to the...
So are we just in a drought right now? I mean, Texas has kind of been in a drought for the last few years,
yeah,
right?
We've been in a drought about 4 or 5 years. Last year was worse than this year. So it just allowed a lot of more emergent stuff to grow in.
Oh, we just got out. I got a bunch of, looks like invasive snails in my clags. How about that? Also got my key fob wet. Hope I can still get into my car. Maybe I'll be stranded in San Marcos. Hey, who gives a shit? Let's go. Yeah, we got Portulaca oleracea, a relative of cacti in the same order in a sister family. But look at it. Look, you got Cabomba blooming down there. It's like 1.5 feet below the surface of the water. That's a beautiful plant, man. That really is. Nice river. Look at that. Jesus Christ. Okay, let's go check out this fern. Okay, so we're looking for the Ceratopterus, but we're walking through all this muck, which Bacopa is just thriving in. Oh my, it's trying to steal my clog. Gambusias everywhere. The little mosquito fish. Oh yeah, you sink into this. Woo! Oh Christ. All right, here we go. I don't know about this aquatic lifestyle, Casey. I'm getting stuck. Ah, fuck. It just took my clag. There we go. All right. There we go. So this is all Sagittaria. Yeah. They said you got the strap leaves, looking like strap leather, and then you got the more sagittate, arrow-shaped leaves.
Was introduced with the aquarium, with that aquarium business.
Oh, so this is a non-native, but it's kind of cool. It's an aquatic fern, and they grow completely submerged. Are they emergent too?
The spore-producing form is, and it can float also.
So the sporophylls are emergent, but
yes.
the whole plant is generally aquatic,
right.
or what? Okay, so the submerged form, when it sends up a sporophyll, which is the spore-producing leaf, that looks much different than this. It's
yes.
like an actual turgid leaf that can
right.
hold its own in the atmosphere. Because this doesn't need to worry about holding its own. It just goes underwater.
It just goes underwater or floats, but the sporophyll-producing, the sporophyll plant is huge and really structural and rigid.
Oh.
Even if the water dried out, that would die. It would never grow into another form, a low water form.
Right, but what he's got over there, that's the emergent
right.
form, and that's where it produces spores. We got a sporophyll here, or what? And so these were just brought over to keep company for people's fishies in the aquarium. It's basically for the aquarium trade. I mean,
yeah.
That's the prime use of this.
It was a popular aquarium.
Oh yeah, look at those. A large reduction in surface area. Much more reduced leaves. Look at that, linear. Again, because it's dealing with a drier habitat on land. Yeah, look at that, and that's the aquatic leaves. Look how broad those are compared to the terrestrial ones. Again, just reducing the surface area through which it can lose moisture. We got any sporangia on here or what?
Probably not. Probably a little early. But last summer, this whole area was full of large Ceratopterus bushes.
So it's kind of a problem. It can be, but it's still cool.
They're starting to remove it.
Probably very cool where it's native here. It kind of sucks though.
Oh sure.
So yeah. Spores right there.
Oh, so it's Pteridaceae, which you can tell that's where the spores are produced. Right there, because it's got those revolute margins. You can see those leaves right there. Yeah, it's got the pseudo-indusia, which again is a synapomorphy, a shared trait of Pteridaceae. Those revolute margins on the leaf, the pseudo-indusia. The indusium is just a piece it's a piece of ferns that protects the sporangia, like a little scale. But Pteridaceae doesn't have those. It does pseudo-indusia instead. It just folds the leaf margin over, and you can see that in genera like Myriopterus, Astrolepis, etc. Oh, that's cool. Oh, no shit. Okay, so it's invasive, but we still something cool to learn about. There we go. So this is, what'd you say, Echinocloa walteri?
Walteri, I believe.
Wow, and it's a native. It's a beautiful grass. Wow, look at that. Look at those goddamn awns. Holy shit. Long prickly awns. What'd you say the common name was? Giant barnyard grass?
Barnyard grass. Or wetland barnyard grass.
Yeah, Verbicina virginica. That's a nice plant.
Elder.
Nice white flowers.
What was it, elderberry?
Oh, we got Celtis, we got elder. Where is elderberry?
What was it?
God, the fucking poison ivy is really. Oh yeah. No, that's actually that's Virginia creeper.
Leaps of fire.
Parthenocissus. There you go. Oh my God. Oh motherfucker. Yeah, look at these cones on this taxodium, man. These are about to mature soon. They just disintegrate and the seeds drop off into the water and flow down. It looks so different from the cypresses that you get in Florida and Louisiana and even East Texas. It blows my mind that there are people who think this is just a different kind of Taxodium disticum. It's adapted to an entirely different habitat with a whole different form, smaller cone size, no aerial roots. Oh shit. Beautiful trees. Goes all the way down into Guatemala. Of course, we got Platanus occidentalis with its bone-like bark and maple-like leaves, but no relation to maples. It's actually related to Proteaceae, the South African Proteas. Australian Proteas too, then you get a couple members of the Proteaceae in South America as well. You know, you got that whole Gondwanan affiliation, remnants of an ancient supercontinent. God, fucking sycamore branches are so beautiful. Okay, they dug this out. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check out the cafeterias. A lot of these colleges got really nice cafeterias. You know, sometimes you can, offer to give a kid $5 or something to let you in there so you can hit all the, the buffet. And I'm gonna get liver flukes from my goddamn encounter with the snails. Okay, what's going on here, Casey?
So this is one, the Artesian well that was drilled into the aquifer, I don't know, 20s or 30s. The original purpose was to feed the fish hatchery behind us, which is the first federal fish hatchery west of the Mississippi. And the reason they moved it here is because water was so abundant. Anyway, so it goes down the aquifer. They can also catch blind salamanders from this well.
They just pop out.
Yeah, pop out. Put a net on it, and you'll get a flush, and
they get sucked into the tube, and we got nice adianthum. That's the native maidenhair, right?
Yes. Capillus.
So once those salamanders come out, that's it.
Right.
They're over.
They're done.
Can you keep them alive in a tank inside?
You can. They take them into the data center for research.
Because they need some sunscreen, because they'll fry. They're not adapted to the non-subterranean lifestyle.
And just within the last 4 or 5 years have they actually figured out how to breed them.
Oh, I saw some at San Antonio Zoo they're keeping alive. Yeah, and the blind fish too, yeah.
So that's new, but generally for the longest time they were just anomalous creatures.
And again, the whole reason they exist is because of the geology. Because limestone reacts with rainwater and you get these huge cave systems forming in it. Volcanic rock wouldn't do that.
I don't think so.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
No, it's higher silica content. It's no calcium carbonate. No shit.
Cavities.
Oh, there's that native liverwort, that native aquatic liverwort. And that's probably pretty easy to grow, huh? I could take some home, put it in the stock tank or
It's
something.
super popular in the aquarium trade.
Oh, no shit. Beautiful. Look at that beautiful divaricating branching.
Think about it.
There's the Texas cichlid. Oh, god damn it. There he goes. He's the Rio Grande cichlid. Such beautiful fish. Is that one? Every time I try to get them, they go inside. They go hide. Oh yeah, there you go. Look at that beautiful speckled blue. Ah, what a gorgeous fish. Okay, Casey, tell me about the karst, because I've only seen this in Dominican Republic. I guess you get it in Florida too, but why don't we get this type of limestone, which is, you can see how much it's dissolved in reacting with acidic rainwater. Why don't we get this on the surface?
Well, generally at the surface, it doesn't come in contact with, or it doesn't stay in contact with water, and it's buried with soil. So this, the holy rock, will be down into the part of the aquifer where there's a consistent contact with water, and that eventually dissolves it and makes what we call conduits.
This is basically a result of coming into consistent contact with water, whereas like a road cut, especially in West Texas, it's just getting a rain here and there. It's not getting enough water to actually do this.
It's not part of the aquifer, yeah.
Whereas if you're actually submerged, this is gonna... So does most of the rock look like that down below? I mean...
Yeah, so I mean
this
is what the aquifer looks like, but then you'll have these conduits, we call them, will just get bigger and bigger, and they'll start forming the caverns.
Until you've got the whole cave system developing.
Cave system, and then that's when things can live in those.
I guess it makes sense. I've seen this in the DR because it's a tropical environment. You get much higher rainfall than Central Texas. But if you're submerged, you start this starts happening, huh? So you see this frequently.
I see holy rock if you're going to deep hill country creeks where they've been eroded. You'll see holy rock pop up to the surface. That's about the only places I've seen it.
Ah, it's Bradford pear. Saw it down. Ah, fuck. Terrible. Ugh.
Yeah, if there's water here, yeah.
So this is a spring where you can actually see the water coming out, but it's dry. But it's coming out that tube right there. Just popping what? Just popping right out the aquifer or what?
Yeah, I mean they've captured blind salamanders out of here.
No shit.
So we know it goes down.
So you got the blind salamanders. They're living their whole life in a karst.
Right.
In the rock.
Giant cave right underneath their feet. They're
swimming around in subterranean caves. You got blind salamanders. You got blind fish too. Blind tetras. What else?
Blind shrimp.
No shit.
Blind amphipod.
And that's just natural selection. I mean, they can afford to lose all that evolutionary speaking. They can afford to lose their eyesight, evolutionary speaking, because they're growing in the dark. They don't need it anyway. And what are they eating?
Whatever goes down there. They're eating bacteria, each other. I mean, it's its own food web.
Oh, wow.
Bacteria.
That sounds kind of dark.
Fungi.
But there's a whole...
Anything that washes in.
But the important thing to know is there's a whole subterranean karst aquatic cave ecosystem.
Yes. Yep.
No shit. Well, Casey, thanks a lot. Really, I appreciate you. Thank you, man.
Anytime.
All right, everybody else, have a great day. Go fuck yourself. Bye.